Hello and welcome to the Empower Yourself Summit. My name is Pamela McAlexander. I will be your host. And I have a wonderful guest with us today. I would like to introduce a woman who is going to provide you with a set of tools and processes that allow you to utilize that internal navigation system, that knowing what you know, to be able to change any area of your life. And I welcome Miss Melanie Clampit.
Thank you so much for having me here, Pam. And hello, everyone, and welcome to the Empower Yourself Summit. I'm so happy to be here.
Wonderful. I want to start us off quickly so that we can get into the meat of why we're here on this summit. And to me, it was so very important to hear your story, where in your life you may have dealt with any kind of a struggle or stuck in life, around fear, self-doubt, anything that you can tell us where your journey began that led you to where you are today.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you for the question. It's so funny. The first thing that comes in my head is this space of gratitude for the question, because I think sometimes we don't. It's like we are just where we are, and we don't always stop and look at where we've come from. And I think that acknowledgement is so important. So thank you for that question. Gosh, my journey, really started most dynamically when I was 25 years old, and I had been, very, very depressed. So when you talk about fear, doubt, all of those things, it was something that I just took for granted that would just always be there, and I would just kind of have to learn how to live with it and do the best that I could with it. So for 10 years, actually, I tried every method under the sun to try to change this for myself, because there was always something driving me, and I knew that something else was possible, right? I knew there was so much more inside of me that I had to share with people, but predominantly spending time in my apartment by myself was not actually getting out in the world and doing that. So, on top of always having this sense of something's wrong with me, there's just something flawed. I don't function here like other people, so something must be wrong with me. Between that heaviness and the judgment of myself of, I know that there's so much more, and I know I have gifts to share with the world, and the judgment I had around not being or doing that, and this sense of futility almost, of, gosh, that's the energy right there, and I know that so many people can relate to that space. So I've done, like I said, a lot of different things over the years, and everything I did helped some, and it gave me some peace. And about 3 years ago, I got to a point where nothing was working as dynamically as I knew was possible. And so I actually stopped. I was a regression hypnotherapist. I was a caregiver for a family. I was a Reiki master and a Theta healer. I was doing all of these different things. I was working with people to some degree. I would let myself work with people for, maybe 1 or 2 sessions. They get a change. And then I would, kind of go back into my shell, going, okay, that's enough. I don't want you to see that I probably can't keep going with this, so I'm going to go somewhere else now. And I kind of, do this really amazing invisibility act.
Okay.
So I got to this point, and I made this demand in my universe that I wasn't going to live like this anymore. And I demanded that the universe get me out of judgment, because I became aware that I was using judgment as a way to keep myself separate from other people. And I also became aware that I was using that judgment because I was so aware of what was going on in everyone else's world, right? And I was like, that does not work for me. So there was this energy of demand in my universe that was like, this is enough, universe. You have to show me how to get out of judgment of me pragmatically, like for reals and completely. Mm-hmm. And how do I use this capacity of being aware of all of this stuff to actually help other people get free too? Okay. And it was about 2.5 weeks later that I found the tools of Access Consciousness. that really created a revolution in my entire reality.
Wow. Okay. So tell me, what is access consciousness?
What is access consciousness? Access consciousness is a set of pragmatic tools and processes that allows you to know that you know, and it allows you to change any area of your life that you are willing to change.
Okay.
And I know that seems very, very broad, right? God. But it's really the target of access is for us to be able to know what it is that we would truly love to have as our lives, truly love to see in the world, to be it, and create it here and now. And consciousness, we define it a little bit different. The way we define consciousness is that it includes everything and judges nothing. To be able to stay present with everything in life and keep you to be able to have you, be able to stay totally present and totally aware and have absolute total choice.
Okay. So how would somebody utilize something like this? How would somebody approach this area to start making those kinds of changes?
Mm-hmm. Well, there are so many tools that I have that I would love to share with you, but there are two kind of top tools that I use in my life every single day, and it's the first thing that I give a client who's going to do an individual session or that I give in the most basic introductory class.
Okay.
And just because it comes first doesn't mean that it's any less effective or dynamic than some of the advanced stuff that we do in Access. So the first tool I like to give you is what I call my internal navigation system. So it's like we talk about knowing what you know,
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of people talk about that. But this is an actual way to, the word I like to use very pragmatically, tap into what it is that you know, and it's this: what if the truth will always make you feel lighter, and what is not true for you will feel heavy?
Okay.
Yeah.
And so there's that way of knowing that gut instinct or that knowing what you know is not just your brain talking, it really is it.
It's your awareness.
Awareness. Okay.
Yes. It's not a hunch.
Okay.
And this is a muscle that you work,
Right.
right? It's the muscle that you work, and I have been working it, and I'm still working it, right?
Okay.
I mean, I am as much in these tools and living these tools and working these tools as anyone that I work with. And from the point of view I have, that will never change, because there's always more. There's always more awareness. There's always more of us to discover, right? There's always more to create. So what if the truth really does make you feel lighter? And what if all of the heaviness that we are so aware of, because when we use our awareness, we actually tap into that place that goes beyond the cognitive. It goes beyond the logical, rational mind.
Mm-hmm.
And this is where sometimes people will use the word faith. I don't call it faith. I call it trusting you, right? Trusting
Okay.
you, because sometimes something is true for you and you get this sense of lightness and it makes no sense at all, right?
Okay.
But the more that I continue to choose the things that are lighter for me and go toward the things that are lighter for me and true for me, the more lightness and spaciousness become. That is what my world becomes. And it's not good or bad to choose what's light and choose what's heavy. It's really just a choice. And, sometimes I'll still choose something that's heavy. And I do it with the awareness that the energy, that sense of contraction, is what that choice is going to create. Typically, I choose what's light for me, right? So in order for people to just begin playing with this tool, it's like first getting a sense of what is light. So imagine someone that doesn't judge you. Someone that when you're with them, there's this sense of you can just be you. And just notice in your body. And notice, is there a sense of expansiveness and what I would call light? A sense of ease, kind of like when you exhale. That's what light is. And light is different for every person, right? So you can even ask yourself, right now, the people who are here with us on the summit right now, like what is light for you? What is that sense? And just allow yourself to. So now I'm going to say something, and I want you to just notice what happens to you energetically. So if I were to say to you, you're a terrible person, and what you do has no value.
Wow, it felt really heavy.
Really heavy, right? And it's like we all experienced light and heavy, but no one ever told us what it was. And that's one of the things I love about this work, is that it didn't tell me anything I didn't already know. It just gave me the words and a way to be present with what it is that I was already experiencing, already had the awareness of. So that's that sense of heaviness, right? So what was that like for you, Pam?
It was very heavy. It was like being a child and being told you did something wrong or bad. I mean, it was like I almost felt myself shrinking in on myself when you said that.
Yeah, yes. So it's like, what if that means it's not true? What if it's a lie? And what if a lie will always have that effect on you?
But how do you differentiate that? Okay, because I know deep in my heart that I'm not that way. Yet when I was told it by you, it prompted a feeling, a response, a curling in on myself like it might have been true.
Yes. So with the awareness that anything that feels heavy is a lie.
Okay.
What if no matter what anyone said to you, no matter if it was someone on the street, someone protesting, a teacher, a mentor, a friend, a family member, no matter who was saying it, what if when they said it and you contracted and you felt that heaviness, you knew, oh, that's actually not true. Wow. What if that was your awareness of, oh, there's a lie here? Yeah. What freedom does that give? Right? Wow. It's like you don't have to search to see if it's true. It's heavy. It isn't true. It's heavy. Right? So now I'm going to say this. Now let's try the other side of it, right? So letting go of all that other stuff. So when I say to you, wow, you are more brilliant than you have ever been acknowledged for. You are an infinite being with infinite capacity to really change anything, to really be anything. What is that like?
It was like being showered with compliments. You can almost feel the light radiating out from yourself in appreciation of what you're being told.
So that lightness was a light.
Wow.
So what if you know that's true? Now, light and heavy isn't about things that I like and things that I don't like. It's about what's true and what isn't. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So one of the ways that I've used this particular tool, oh gosh, there are so many ways to use it, but those beliefs that you've been living from, right, for all of you out there and for us here, Pam, like, would you mind if we use you as an example?
Sure.
Okay, cool. So is there like one of those core beliefs or one of those programs that just seems to run that you you kind of know isn't true, but it keeps popping back up like it could be?
Wow. Okay. Gosh. Let's say being the oldest sibling, okay, that it's hard for me to
Mhm.
let go of that wanting to take care of and protect everyone and actually allow my younger siblings to do the same back for me.
Uh-huh. So what have you decided about yourself in regard to that?
That I need love and caring too,
Cool.
and I'm open to receive it from them.
Cool. Um, so when you say that, do you get a sense of lightness or a sense of heaviness?
No, I really get a sense of lightness. Being vulnerable was always very hard for me because I
Yes.
thought I always had to be this strong person, and I wasn't allowed to show weakness. I wasn't allowed to cry or be emotional, and I thought I was weak if I did those things. Yet I've been in some very safe
Mm-hmm.
spaces with people where I could be just that way, and it was okay.
Mm-hmm. So the thing I was kind of going for was one of those beliefs like vulnerability makes me weak.
Yes, that would be one of those.
That would be cool. So when you say vulnerability makes me weak, and I want you to just perceive what you sense when you say it.
I feel heavy when I say it.
Cool. So what if that's a lie?
Yes, because vulnerability does not make me weak. It actually makes me strong.
Hmm. It does. And that, like, we have these brilliant minds, and we actually know that that's true. But we often will, have these underlying sabotaging energies because somewhere along in there, we have bought it as true,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
So in using this tool, when you said it, it's heavy.
Hmm.
So what if in using this tool, you could actually check in with these underlying beliefs that aren't true, but somewhere you've bought it,
Hmm.
right? So when you can actually stop and look and go, okay, is this actually true? Is it true? And most of us, it's a very vulnerable thing to do, to stop and ask, because it's usually the thing we most don't want to be true,
Right.
right? But I have gotten some really amazing freedom from going, okay, I've even made a list. What are the judgments I have of me? What are the
Mm.
points of view I have about myself that I haven't been wanting to look at?
Hmm.
Been willing to ask the question, all right, well, is it true or not? So if I'm vulnerable or I show emotion, I'm weak. What if you can actually just look at it and go, okay, well, is it true? And I know it's something you've already like processed through quite a bit. And another really common one people have is just, I'm not enough. Right? I hear people say that a lot, like, oh, I'm working with this thing, I'm not enough. So one of the first places I go with people is, okay, well, are you? Are you enough? And it's a different approach. And they'll go, oh, well, yeah, actually, I am enough. And they have that sense of lightness. And they go, oh, like, okay, now let's try it the other way. You say, I'm not enough. I'm not enough. And that's that heaviness. And they go, wow, okay. And it's like so much of the undercurrent of where we knew it wasn't us, but we secretly thought maybe it could. And willing to have the awareness of whether it's true or not. So that's one of the ways you can use this tool. Another way is, another big piece of access is living as the question. right? To not go into the conclusions and seeking of the answer. So what if we actually do live in a universe that works on ask and you shall receive? What if it's actually true? And what if we can use it pragmatically? So for me, when I ask a question, I know that a question is going to change something. I know it's, for me, it's a tool of creation. So you can ask questions and tap into your infinite awareness. So as I'm talking with you and when I work with people, I'm coming from the point of view that we're all infinite beings, right? And as an infinite being, would we have awareness of just a few things, or would we have awareness of everything?
Right.
So what if we can ask questions and we can actually be aware of what our choices will create? Because as an infinite being, we can actually do that. Most of us just haven't been given the tools to be able to use it. So I ask questions about everything. If I choose this, what will my life be like? And I look for that sense of that spaciousness and lightness, or that sense of heaviness and contraction, because that's my awareness, right? So that heavy and light tool can be used in so many ways. So it's my internal navigation system for one, to my head, the stuff that people say to me, mentors, people in the world, information, to just really, navigate through the pros and the con list and the figuring it out. And I also use it to look at what my choices will create. Right? So that's one question that I would love to give you when you're looking to choose anything in your world. If I choose this, what will my life be like in 5 years? And I say 5 years because it kind of goes beyond where the mind can go with you. It kind of bypasses your mind a bit, so you can actually tap in to the energy of what your choice will create.
Wow.
For some people, right? On our mind, and then figuring it out, and that sense of comfort with the conclusion and the answers that we've come to. But if we're willing to let go of needing an answer and let go of the conclusion and get into the question, what will my life be like in 5 years if I choose this? And there's an energy that comes up. And then on the flip side, so I perceive that energy, how light is it? How heavy? What is that? And then I ask, what will my life be like in 5 years if I do not choose this? And I perceive the energy there. What is that like? And then I choose based on what's most expansive and what's the lightest. And what's the energy I'm choosing to create in my life. So as far as...
So it's almost like having that pro and con list and seeing which one is bigger, which one is more influential.
It's just, what would you like to create in your life? Is it a sense of lightness and expansiveness, or is it that sense of heaviness and contraction? And it's like, cool. For me personally, and for most people that I know, they would like to have more lightness, more ease, more sense of peace in their body and in their life. So choose what creates more of that. And it takes out that need to make the right decision or the wrong decision or the good, perfect, and right decision.
Right.
And it puts you into choice and creating what it is you would really love to create. But it's based on the energy and your awareness, not on a cognitive process. So I'm just going to kind of throw some tools out here because there's just so much I'd love to give you. So what if any choice at all was only good for 10 seconds?
Wow.
Only 10 seconds, and then you can choose again.
Okay.
So what if choice creates awareness and awareness does not create choice? So how many of you out there are waiting to get the information and the awareness of the right, good, and perfect choice before you actually just choose something? So many of us, have the e-brake on or foot pressed down on the brake pedal because we're looking for the information to know what to choose before we choose. But what if it doesn't actually work that way? What if you choose and then you get the awareness of what that choice creates?
I like
And
that.
then there is such a sense of freedom, and you go, oh my gosh, I'm just like throwing off all of these old coats of what I need to choose and how I need to choose it and who is going to like this choice and who isn't going to like this. There's so much that we do. And by using this, you just bypass all of it. It just becomes irrelevant.
Wow.
So yes, what if your choice only lasts for 10 seconds? You can choose in 10-second increments. And sometimes we make a choice and we have the awareness and we go, oh, wow, okay, that didn't turn out like I thought it was going to. Okay, what else can I choose now? Because that choice was only good for 10 seconds and it's over. And then other times it's like, wow, how amazing is this? I never expected it to turn out this great. So yes, what if your choice is only 10 seconds?
That is a very unique way of looking at it.
So there's another piece. It is, isn't it? It's very unique. And it takes away that element of you judging you, right? Because how many people make a choice and it doesn't turn out fantastic or like they thought it was going to, and then go into a world of judgment, and it just locks us up. It contracts us, and notice, it contracts and it's heavy. Judgment is always a lie. What if judgment truly is always a lie? What if anything that is heavy and contracting to you is never true? Ever.
Wow. You have been a wealth of information.
For me, when I told the story of kind of the years of so for me, those years of being so sad and so unhappy and so depressed, part of it was that I was buying into so many things that were not true. And it was just so heavy. It was like living under a brick house. Sometimes I think I don't know how I function at all with that level of heaviness. And I was buying so many points of view from so many different communities and so many different philosophies and so many different spiritual principles and all of these things that actually were never true for me. But because someone who I admired said it and it worked for them, I thought, well, it must work. What's wrong with me? I must be the problem, right? And with this tool, with that light and heavy, I've really been able to go in and go, actually, no, it just was never true for me. Just because something is true for someone and life for them, it has nothing to do with what might be true for you. So this is really an invitation for each one of you, for all of us, to really begin to look at what is true for you that may not actually be true for anyone else. And are you willing to have the honoring with yourself and the trust with your own knowing and your own awareness of what's true for you, and give that gift to you?
Yeah. What a lovely gift.
So there's one more tool that really, it's still blowing my mind 3 years later. It's really amazing. And this was that piece when I shared with you that 3 years ago I made the demand of, okay, I'm aware of all of this stuff. I'm aware of everything going on in everyone's worlds. What the heck can I do with this? Right? What is this? So there's this tool. Who does this belong to? So what if 98% of your thoughts, feelings, and emotions don't belong to you? What if 98% of what you're aware of is just that? It's an awareness. So when I say that, what do you notice? Does that give you a sense of lightness or does that feel heavy?
When you say, what if 98% of what I'm aware of?
Yeah, so what if 98% of your thoughts, feelings, and emotions don't belong to you? What
Wow.
if it's an awareness of what's going on in the people and on the planet? Does that lighten up your universe at all?
Yeah, but almost in a strange way.
Yes. So welcome to the strange and wacky and weird tools that have totally changed my life. But it does take a step into, I mean, I've always been very strange. And the lie I was buying into was that something was wrong with my strangeness. And as it turns out, um, I actually do know how to navigate in this reality very different. And it's these tools that have been like, yes, you were correct, you weren't wrong.
Wow. So
I
somebody
am.
So somebody who truly is struggling right now, this that
Yeah.
first tool that you talked about with their internal navigation and understanding, okay, what is it that I'm struggling with or against? Utilizing how does that make me feel, and then turning it around and almost portraying the opposite of, if I did this, how would that make me feel? That would be a good start.
Well, I think a start would be to go, is any of this true?
Okay.
And just noticing if it's light or heavy. And if
Okay.
it's heavy, it's not true. So this is very simple. It's so simple, it confuses the mind, right? And we like to say in Access, the mind is a terrible thing, waste it.
Right.
So, so for someone who's struggling, right? So if you are struggling right now, I'd really like to invite you to look at, is it heavy? Are you feeling a sense of heaviness? And what if that means that so much of what's going on for you is something you've bought and that actually isn't true? Right? If it's heavy, it's a lie. And the other piece is this who does it belong to tool. What if what you are experiencing is something you're aware of in the world? What if it's the heaviness and contraction that so many people are choosing, the suffering people are choosing and experiencing? Mostly because we don't know that there's another choice. So what I would say to do first would be to go, is this mine or someone else's? Who does this belong to? When you ask the question, if anything lightens up or changes in your world at all, it does not belong. And you just say, return to self. You don't even have to bring it all into your mind, but bring the energy of it up, something you may be struggling with right now, and ask yourself this question, who does this belong to? And notice anything lightens up or changes at all. And anything that does not belong to you, will you please return it to sender with consciousness attached?
So
Thank you.
that's how you identify then if it belongs to somebody else versus you, and how you send it back to them.
Yes, and you don't have to know who it is. You don't have to know where it came from. It's just the awareness of, oh, not mine.
That sounds so easy.
It's so easy and it works.
Wow.
And don't believe anything that I'm saying to you. Notice what is light and true for you and use that. Take the tool and use it. Now, I've tried a lot of really weird and wacky things. This is one of them. And I'll really pretty much do anything to create the change that I'm looking for, right? Um, oh, I just totally lost my track of what I was going to say. How does it get better than that?
Right.
It's another great question that I'd love to share with you. Um, but I really pretty much do anything. And I've noticed that these tools are so simple and they seem like it can't be that easy, but it really is. What if we don't have to muscle through transformation? What if it's not as difficult as we thought? So here's the thing, stuff you've been working on your entire life, if it's not yours, you can't change it. You can only acknowledge it isn't yours and send it back. So when I first heard this tool, I was a little irritated actually, because I thought I had spent 7 years in therapy paying money to deal with everyone else's crap that I was aware of and thought was mine. Because no one ever told me that I was experiencing my awareness in my own head and my own voice as my own physical sensations, as a feeling or an emotion. No one ever was perceiving the world around me. So how many of you have been calling yourself a highly sensitive person and feeling at the effect of everything going on around you? And I wonder what might change, or I wonder what might be different for you if you began to acknowledge that you're a highly aware person and that none of that belonged to you. And that there are so many people on the planet right now who are unhappy and living with physical pain and discomfort, who are rejecting kindness, who are rejecting money, who are rejecting the things that you're asking for. And I would love to invite you to the possibility that none of that belongs to you and that you don't have to be at the effect of that anymore. So when I first heard this tool, now this is a muscle you work, like we said before. It's not something that is a common thing to do. So I call it setting yourself up for success. What can you do to set yourself up for success, to try out this tool and see how it works for you? So I wrote it down on Post-it notes, and I posted it everywhere, on the back of the bathroom door, by my bed, in my car. I use it as a screensaver on my cell phone. So the challenge is this, or the invitation is this. For 3 days, for every thought, feeling, emotion, and sensation, ask the question, who does this belong to? And if it lightens up or changes at all, return to center with consciousness attached. Now, we have a lot of thoughts and we have a lot of feelings and sensations, so it takes a little diligence. So be easy with yourself. As you're practicing it, you'll forget. You'll remember for a few minutes, and then you'll break into a sweat and go, oh my God, this is harder than I thought. And then you'll forget for an hour, and then you'll remember again. And just be easy with it and practice it. I use this tool every day, all of the time. And it's becoming more of a second nature now that I've used it for some time. But it's still one of those go-to questions that I always ask myself for anyone first. So I invite you to play with that and see what it might change everywhere, right? So it's like, what have we been aware of in other people's points of view about relationships, about money, about our bodies? And bodies are such a huge one. How many people are you aware of in your world that judge their body? It's
Too many.
Like what? Too many. Now, a lot of people, what if we don't have to change anyone else's point of view to still have freedom for us? So the way that for me, to begin with this, I just started acknowledging when it wasn't mine and returning it. Acknowledging when it wasn't mine and returning it. And like I said, it still blows my mind. I actually had one the other day. I woke up in the morning and there was this very familiar energy. I thought, wow, what is this? And I didn't go into judgment of myself, which was pretty amazing. And that's another, there's so much that I'm not going to be able to give you today, that there are, tools to be able to work with all this stuff. But I woke up and I didn't judge myself. I was just present with the energy. And it was this energy of, well, I don't know. What would I like to create today? I don't know. And I thought, that is a really worn out story. I don't know. And I know that there's so many people can relate to this. So many people I work with start off with that too. Well, what do you know? I don't know. Mm-hmm. And it's often because we don't have a cognitive thought that goes along with what we're actually aware of and what we know. So I stopped and I just stayed really present. Because I didn't judge it, I was able to stay present with the energy, and I just looked at it like, and I got curious. What is this? And it was like this image of a brick wall came into my mind. I thought, wow, that seems so solid. I wonder what it would take to change this. Again, staying in the question. I wonder what it would take to change this. And then, who does this belong to? Popped into the back of my mind. It wasn't even a tool I was going for yet. Oh, who does it belong to? My whole world lightened up. The brick wall was malleable and mutable. And I went, oh my gosh, this has never been mine. This has always been a point of view that I've been aware of. And oftentimes when I work with people, they'll say, oh, but I've always had this. Like, well, what if you've always been aware of it? Right? So just in the willingness to stay present with the energy and ask some questions, it changed my whole universe again. Because it was such a huge one. And I also became aware, like, that's how so many of us are functioning in the world. And now I can actually use that awareness to help other people get free of that same limitation. But it only came because I was willing to be present with it and ask the questions. Who does this belong to? Wow, it isn't mine. And it never has been. And there was a sense of spaciousness and a sense of freedom that I would really love to see in the world. I would love for every one of you who are listening and with us right now, I would really love for you to know that sense of freedom and spaciousness and ease that you can have in your life. So who does this belong to? For every thought, feeling, and emotion. And then return to center with consciousness attached. Again, you don't have to know where it came from. Sometimes someone will pop in your head, okay, return to center with consciousness attached. But you don't have to go searching for it. You can actually just go right into the lightness. And then the truth will always make you feel lighter, and a lie will feel heavy. Or what isn't true for you will feel heavy.
I think we have a lot of people who are going to find out firsthand just how many lies they've been living with, because that's
Another one.
that heaviness.
And then, yeah. And there's so much heaviness in the world. Yeah. And what if you don't have to choose that anymore? Exactly. That was pretty surprising to me too. That the things that I was functioning from so much, and that was actually creating and at the root of the depression and the sadness and the hiding that I was doing in my life, that none of it was actually true. That all of it was a lie.
Wow.
Yeah. Pretty amazing. Pretty amazing.
Yeah, it really is. Melanie, let me ask you a quick question before we finish up today. And I really want to thank you for all this insightfulness, because you have opened my eyes to a whole new way of looking at things. And I certainly hope that our listeners are thinking the same thing. But if you had one piece of advice that you could give to our listeners today to help them get started on that path toward making changes in their life, what would it be?
That's a great question, Pam. You know, I would love to invite you into the possibility that you have never been wrong, that you can't be wrong. And what if you can actually have more fun with the life that you're creating? Right? What if you can be easy about it? Right? What if you're not broken? What if you just haven't been given the tools to navigate this reality in a way that works for you? And what if you are more brilliant and more aware than anyone has ever acknowledged you for? So I guess that's one of the things I like to leave with you is I would like to acknowledge you for everything that you've come from, everything that you've been through, everything you've been aware of. What if none of it was a wrong or bad choice? What if you can just choose something different now? And what if everything that you are aware of has given you the formula that's required for you to be everything that you are and to be the change in the world that you're looking to be. And what if nothing ever shows up the way that you think it will? And are you willing to have fun and be in the adventure of creating something different?
What a wonderful journey. I definitely have really enjoyed our talk today. And I do want to reference that Melanie has a wonderful website. And we've got the link at the bottom of our email here for you to link directly to her site. And she is also giving you a free guided meditation for unlimited receiving. And I'll tell you, for anybody to not take advantage of that, they must be losing their mind, because that right there just makes you feel light and free.
Absolutely.
But I do want to thank you, Melanie. I've so thoroughly enjoyed our interview today, and I hope that everybody will follow suit and click on that link and take advantage of that guided meditation, because you've given us some wonderful tools to start our journey toward conquering our fears, eliminating self-doubt, living the life of our dreams. And I so appreciate you and your gifts and your time today.
Oh, thank you so much, Pam, and thank you for putting this together and coordinating everything. I know everything that goes on, behind the scenes of an event like this is not always easy. So thank you. Thank you for bringing all of us and you to the world. Um, and being that change that you are being to create the change that you're looking for. It's a brilliant gift. Thank you.
Thank you.